again, and it takes a while. Here we go. Live on YouTube, live on Instagram. Just let me get set up with my notes here. Bum, 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 bum. Oh, goody. Okay, perfect. Okay. Thanks so much for joining me tonight. This is my regularly scheduled lives. Things are getting more and more hectic for me in that I've kind of made a decision. I just can't answer messages anymore. So direct messages. And if you have any questions, I answer the questions here on the lives. If you have any parenting questions, if you have any questions about my business, like my courses and my coaching, you can email me, but don't ask me parenting questions on email. I don't have time to answer that. So I'd be spending all day, every day doing that. And obviously I can't do that. So anyway, and also my Black Friday sale is on right now. The boot camp course, regularly $197, it's 25% off. So you can check that out if you're interested. That'll go till the 27th of November, 2023. And anyway, what else? That's it. I just did a video. I have a live channel on TikTok, and it's actually for my grandchildren. I don't have grandkids yet. I've got one coming in about 3 weeks now. Anyway, I talked about old people having long hair, old women having it. I often put those videos out because I love all the hate that comes at you. Like I figure, let someone vent. You know, if people have to vent, they're feeling miserable, let them go for it. I know I'm going to get a whole bunch of hate. You ugly old bat, you should have short hair. Why do I find that stuff so funny? Anyway, okay. So let's get going with your parenting questions. But first, check out the link above. I've got my my Black Friday sale on right now for the boot camp course. Did I call it my Bratbusters course earlier? I often say that wrong. It's a Bratbusters boot camp course, 3 to 12 years old, 5-week course online. Anyway, check that out. It's 25% off right now till the 27th. So that is Monday. Anyway, and also the free behavior boards on there, the mini toddler courses, and the coaching one-on-one with me if you're interested. So check all that out. Everything I have in my business is in that link above in my bio. Okay, 16-month-old headbutts and bites when told no. If we walk away, tantrums. Yeah, they just do stuff. They're just a baby still. So you ignore every tantrum and scene and fit. So allow them to have that. Unless they're hurting themselves, someone else, or damaging property. They do that all the time. I just did a video on that. When did I do that? I did the video. All my videos start on TikTok. So I never know when they're going to end up on Instagram. But it's 16-month-old banging head when mad. That will be coming here soon. So check that out. Or you can go and check it out on TikTok. I just did it yesterday, actually. No, I didn't. I did it. Oh, yeah, would have been yesterday. No, did I? No, the day before. Anyway, so it's one of the recent ones. It's 1, 2, 3, 4. It's the 5th video on my TikTok. 16-month-old banging head. Basically, you can get them a foam helmet or just intervene when you know they're going to do that. They'll outgrow it. At that age, they don't understand concussions, brain damage, bleeding, hospitals. So they're just going to do whatever they do to get attention. They're just going to throw their body around, and then eventually they'll learn to stop. Just keep intervening, but you still ignore the tantrum. Just because you're intervening and restraining them from hurting themselves doesn't mean you're looking at them or talking to them. You just physically restrain them. Hold them there. They'll learn. It's just a stage. They go through all sorts of stuff. One thing after another with toddler, because they're learning. They're brand new, fresh human beings. They don't have a clue what's going on in the world yet. Imagine if you've only been in the world for 2 years, and the first year you were a potato laying on a mattress. This is a 16-month-old. You know, they've only really gotten off the mattress in the last few months. I'm going to read out my top 5 tips for parenting toddlers. Number 1, child-proof your home so you never have to say no. Number 2 is you set up a toy rotation system so they're never bored. I have lots of videos on all this stuff, by the way. Number 3 is when you want to connect with a toddler, you enter their world. You don't go to the nail salon to connect with a 2-year-old. You go to the park and roll down the hill with them. You enter their world. Number 4 is when you are disciplining a toddler, don't do the mini therapy sessions. All the words discussing feelings and that's garbage. That was invented to feed the mom. It has nothing to do with the kids. It's the mom's needs that want to do that. It's ridiculous. So they're all about consistent corrective actions. They're not about words, okay? Number 5 is stop trying to figure them out. They're not figure-outable because they haven't formed yet. They're crazy because they haven't developed sanity yet, okay? They're brand new, fresh human beings. They've got one marble and some tumbleweed floating around in there. That's it. Okay. How could I get my kid to listen without yelling at him? He's 3 and has the attention span of a squirrel one. Yeah, okay. The only reason you yell is because it works in the short term, but it backfires big time down the road. So you want to get away from that. Check out my free behavior board, or you can check out the boot camp course that's on sale Black Friday right now. It's 25% off. So check that out. Anyway, it's on the link above. But yeah, it teaches you how to, one step at a time, how to teach him how to listen, how to teach him how to follow a rule. But it's mostly about you, your leadership skills. So yeah, check it out. The behavior board is the basis of all my teaching, in that it is where you start learning how to be a leader. It's the behavior board. With toddlers, they're not going to follow a leader right now anyway. So that's why I don't have a course on toddlers. I have lots of mini courses, how to deal with certain behaviors. But the big picture is toddlers are just crazy. They haven't formed yet. So yeah, you just kind of gotta go with it and wait it out. Cute as a button, but they're all feet, no brains. Okay. I started ignoring my toddler tantrums and he would go after me trying to hit. Yeah. I try to avoid him and he persists. He also would go after an item he wants on his own, climbing and demand. Yeah, because you've trained him. You've trained him that you're going to give him attention. Now all of a sudden you're changing the rules and all of a sudden you're not feeding the tantrum. They usually get worse before they get better. He remembers the old you. So just physically restrain him from hurting himself, hurting someone else, or damaging property. You don't look at him or talk to him still. You just physically restrain him just for 30 seconds or so, let go, see what happens, then grab him again. You're not hurting him. You're just physically restraining him from harming, right? Anyway, I have a whole course on toddler tantrums if you're interested. That's in the link above. Well, I need the age. If they say no to you, are they 16, 2, 6? I don't know. I need an age. I specialize in teenagers, by the way. So I think a lot of people think this is a toddler channel because most people on the lives have toddlers. But no, I specialize in teenagers. But everyone on here wants to talk about toddlers. That's why it seems to be all you see on here. But yeah, it's not a toddler channel. It's a parenting channel. Because I work backwards. I know how to deal with teenagers. So I work backwards. I know how to get you through those teen years. That's what never listen to someone who hasn't gone through the teen years. They don't have a clue what they're talking about. If they don't know how to get you through those teenage years, they shouldn't be teaching parenting, okay? Because that is where the gold is. That is where, if you want to know how to enter that correctly, and then you'll just sail right through it like I did, okay? He's 2.5 and says no to everything. So what does it matter what he says? Does it matter? We're going out now. No, okay, you take action. You get over there, pick him up, grab his shoes, and go out and get him in the car seat. Take action. I only say things once. I don't repeat myself. I might give him some warning, say we're going to be going soon. Okay, you might want to get your shoes ready and that. No, I don't listen to that. I don't care what they say. He's 2.5. You're letting him say no, and that's bothering you. Yeah, you want to get a handle on that one. The sooner you figure that one out, the better. My 1.5-year-old kicks and screams during diaper changes. Yeah. Physically restrain him while you're doing it. I'll tell you why I know that works. I've worked with hundreds of kids, by the way. But they know when someone's in charge and they know when someone isn't. The way I know that for sure is when I was changing my kids, when they went through that alligator stage and they were trying to twist and turn, I just held them down, put my whole arm across their chest, and just changed them like that, lickety-split. Before they even knew what happened, they didn't think anything of it. But then when their dad would change them, whole different story, because they knew they could manipulate their dad. They knew he might say, if I get you a toy, he was a great dad, but he just didn't have that same leadership command of himself, because I had tons of experience with kids, okay, before I had my own. But yeah, just physically take over. They're just tiny little people. You can do it. Do you touch on children, teens with OCD, tactile, defensiveness, etc.? Okay, OCD is not a real thing. It's just something, I won't tell you what doctors have told me about it, but it's not. It's oppositional, OCD. Oh, OCD, I thought it was ODD. OCD, yeah, I do. Actually, my daughter has OCD. So I know a lot about it. I'm not a specialist with it, but yeah, I do. Tactile, defensiveness, etc. Sorry, I thought you meant ODD. I'm going to do a whole video on that again. I want to do ODD. And I can't do a video on OCD because I don't specialize in it. But it comes up. I've worked with parents who have kids with OCD. Plus my daughter has it. So yeah, she has a safety one. She has to make sure that all the stoves are off and all that kind of stuff before she leaves the house. She takes pictures of everything. Anyway, tactile defensiveness. I don't really know what that is. Tactile defensiveness. So they're really sensitive to the way things feel. I don't quite know what that is. Anyway, yeah, I do. I deal with a whole bunch of stuff. I don't necessarily understand all that stuff, but I mean, I've dealt with it. Like what I mean is I'm not a professional with OCD, but I've dealt with it. Is this OCD? My daughter needs to reset herself and have even touches on both sides. I don't know. I can't diagnose that. I'm not a doctor. And by the way, it's very hard to find specialists with that. Um, yeah, my daughter has sought help, and it's very hard to find a therapist who's very good at dealing with that. And they do exposure therapy. But anyway, that's a whole thing. Yeah, tactile. Sensitivity. Yeah. I didn't know it was called defensiveness. I've never heard of that. I've heard of tactile sensitivity, but not tactile defensiveness. That's interesting. Yeah, yeah, that comes up. Bub, 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 bub. It is tricky, though. It's a tricky one because it is something in them. So you have to learn how to work with it. And it depends on the age, too. The things that we do are quite different dependent upon the age. Because you can't force something on a younger child that can't reason through it and doesn't understand why you're doing it. So yeah, okay. Blah, blah, blah. Well, my 1.5-year-old cries so bad when husband leaves. What can you do? Nothing. It's just a stage. They're going to go through. It's only 1.5. They go through stage after stage after stage. You can try diversion. When dad leaves, if you look upset about it and try and talk him off the cliff, probably will make it worse, right? So I'm suggesting maybe you just go somewhere, sit down somewhere and start playing with blocks all by yourself. Don't even talk to him and see if he comes over and joins you. If you look at them, it feeds it. Any attention in those situations feeds it. They'll go like, oh my God, you're looking at me, you're talking to me about it. It must be bad. It's validating it. Yeah, any attention to a tantrum is validation. Yeah, and not shame her for her OCD. Shame? There's no shame in that. And it's an actual brain pattern thing. There's no shame in any of this stuff. No. I always thought I had OCD. I'm very fussy, like very clean, organized. I've lost 2 things in my life that I can remember. One was a pink sheet about 20 years ago. I swear to God, my ex-husband took it because he knows it's driving me nuts. Him and my son conspired like a joke. He probably didn't, but it was kind of a joke that my ex-husband did that on purpose. Anyway, so we still laugh at that one. Anyway, and the other one is I just lost a lip balm the other night, Monday night. Dreamt about it all night long, but I'm not OCD. OCD is a whole different level. OCD is you really get stressed out over it. I don't. It just irks me. If everything has to be clean, but if it isn't, it doesn't. I don't get any anxiety. Look, I'm stuttering. Obviously, I get a bit. No, I don't. But yeah, OCD is a whole other level. There's no shame in that. None. I can't think of any reason why I would shame a child for anything. Yeah, I don't deal with shame. That's what timeout. I hate it. I think it shames them. I think timeout is mean. I hate it. You go sit over there. You're not even worth talking to. Could you imagine if you made a mistake at work and your boss sent you to a corner? Wouldn't you feel ashamed of yourself? That's why I hate timeout. It's shame. It makes you feel like, it's horrible. I think it's mean. Okay. 13-month-old has anger, behave, punches. There's just a stage of just going through stuff. Yeah, I don't know what to tell you. Stage after stage after stage with little ones. Remain calm. If they get physical, restrain them. But you never look at them or talk to them when they're having a tantrum. It's very important. It validates it. It feeds it. But 13 months old, you can use diversion. And you don't talk to them while you're doing it. You just go and sit and play where they can see you and then talk to yourself or read their favorite book out loud to yourself. The whole idea is they'll forget about what they were angry about and they'll come and sit in your lap. It's diversion or redirection. You don't do that with 16 months and over. It's kind of a gray area in there, but yeah, you want them to learn how to deal with that all by themselves. If you don't allow them to process that on their own, the tantrums will last longer. You have to allow that brain pattern to form, that they have to be able to get themselves into a tantrum, have one, and get themselves out. If you interfere in that, it's going to take them longer to build that connection in their brain. I just made that up, but it makes sense to me the way I say it. Because I've seen it. I know kids don't know how to get themselves out of a tantrum if you keep intervening. I've seen it for decades now. How do I get my 2.5-year-old dressed and out of the house? She refuses to wear anything but her PJs, but I'm never going to. Okay, so you just have to take control. You get physical with this. You say, okay, you're going to be wearing this today. And if she's really combative, and you might give her 2 choices and say, you can wear this or this. Which one are you going to wear? So you don't say, I have to get you dressed, but say, here's your options. You can wear this or this. And then if she won't get dressed, physically get her dressed. You just have to be able to do that. My kids knew I would go in there and do that, so they gave in really quickly with me because they knew I would always win. Their dad, not so much. I'd just get a cup of tea and watch him. If they knew I was watching, they'd be good with him too. But yeah, they usually know who's in charge. There usually is a leader and a pleaser in the family. That it's quite common. I didn't want him disciplining our kids. I didn't want him messing them up. I knew what I was doing, so I was definitely the leader. He was a great dad, but he was more the pleaser style. My dad was too, great dad, but he was a pleaser. My mom was the leader. I would never push my dad around if I knew my mom was in earshot. Sometimes I'd say to my dad, "Can I do that, Daddy?" And he'd say, "Sure, sweetie, but let's check with your mom first." And I go, "Never mind." Okay. Um, Tips help a lot. Thanks. That's Vincent. That is on YouTube. By the way, I'm on, am I on Instagram? Yeah. This is Instagram, and I'll be on here for 30 minutes, and then I'm going to move over to TikTok. But I'm on YouTube for the whole hour. So, and it's kept there. Those were all my lives are saved there. Once I do it on Instagram and TikTok, poof, they're gone. I'm sure I've done a couple thousand by now. I must have. Oh no, maybe just 1,000 live. Would I? I don't know. I've done a lot of lives. But they weren't all saved on YouTube. That was unfortunate. I've lost them. But I got better at them, so the first year was probably no good anyway. Okay. Okay, almost 3-year-old son is starting to hit me when frustrated and knock things over in my house, his sister's toys, etc. Oh, okay, he's almost 3. Here's the thing. If you're a leader, by the time they hit 3, everything starts to smooth out and everything's easier. If you're not a leader, when they hit 3, they often go, "Wait a minute, you're not a leader. I think I'll do it." They take over. So it says you got to work on your leadership skills. Check out my boot camp course. It's on sale right now, Black Friday sale. It teaches you how to be a leader. And then if you don't want to buy the course, then you can check out the behavior board. That's completely free. It's also in the boot camp course. The behavior board is my teaching tool. I invented that 17 years ago. And because I never used a behavior board, but I thought, how am I going to teach parents how to just step by step, how to set up your leadership skills? The behavior board, you're on it too. That's what makes it different. You have to be on the behavior board. Leaders are accountable. You're setting an example for your kids. They're watching you. They're not listening to you, by the way. They're watching you. If you're accountable, they're much more likely to be accountable. So check it out. Okay. Yeah. My 3-year-old sometimes has unwanted behaviors at school, like hitting or screaming. Is it possible to correct this at home if he's not doing it at home? Okay, there's 2 reasons why he's doing it at school. Something is going on there that he doesn't like, or you give in to everything, and you're a pleaser parent. You roll out the red carpet, give in to all his demands at home, and school doesn't. So that's the only 2 reasons why that would be happening. Unless he also does it at home, then he's just, Sorry, I've got my neighbor's dogs out in the hallway. I think a new dog moved onto the floor and the dogs are having a fit. They don't like new dogs. They're very sensitive. I live in a downtown apartment building and the dogs are so spoiled here. So was mine. My dog died last year. He was very spoiled too. Okay, so my 3-year-old sometimes has unwanted behavior. Yes, you can fix that at home at 3 years old. Put on the behavior board, whatever it is you want to fix. If it's hitting, put down no hitting. And then say the teacher will be telling me if you hit. So there's a consequence if they hit. Okay. But like I said, there's 2 reasons why that would be happening at school. One is something's going on at school that they don't like. Maybe upsetting them. It doesn't always mean it's something big, so don't freak out. Parents go, "Oh my God, are they being touched?" Not necessarily. It might just be something that they're not getting everything they want. I don't know. Or you're giving in so much at home and they expect the teacher to do the same, and she ain't going to be doing that. So either way, work on your leadership skills. Get that behavior board done or check out my boot camp course. It's on sale right now, Black Friday sale. Okay. Can you tell me how to stop my baby from anger? He has a lot. Oh, 2-year-old. Okay. 2 years old. You can't stop a child from feeling angry. You just can't stop their brains from feeling anger. But the calmer you are, the better leader you are and you're in charge, they calm down, but not so much at 2. They're just getting all these emotions out. They're just expressing everything when they're 2. Okay. Everything's flying out. They have no filter system. They never stop and think. So you kind of got to wait it out, okay? But yeah. But if you're a good leader, they do tend to be calmer around the leader. I worked with hundreds of kids, and I managed to get good behavior out of all of them. Was it the kid or was it me? It's my leadership skills. I know how to talk to kids, even toddlers. Yeah. Doesn't mean they're not going to be crazy anyway. They're just going to do what they're going to do. But I have a better chance of calming them down than maybe some people would without as much experience. But they still are going to do what they're going to do. Their behavior is not perfect, too. You don't expect that. I'll be honest, I don't really know what waves mean. Are waves just saying hello, or are they a sign of, oh, I like that? Like that's appreciation for what I was talking about? I don't know. Maybe I should look that up. I never know what I'm doing on here. Okay. You may have already answered this, but can you tell us about your professional background real quick? Okay, I've just got 52 years of experience working with kids. I was going to be a child psychologist. Oh, I started volunteering in daycare centers when I was 11. And then I just always had a knack for this. I could always be fun and yet get respect. And that even the daycare ladies used to say, how do you do that? And I didn't know how to explain it. And I know how to be a leader with kids. I just get kids. Anyway, I was 20 years old and I thought, well, I got to be a child psychologist. So I took a prerequisite course for university and they kicked me out after a week. I asked too many questions. What they were teaching 40 years ago, it was 43 years ago now. What they were teaching was garbage. It was all that authority, I'm better than you, trying to outsmart the kids all the time. It was just patronizing. I hated it. And then the other students started asking me questions rather than the teacher. So I think I always just had a knack for this stuff. And then about 25 years ago, I was mentoring troubled teens, and they told me to teach this. They said, Lisa, you got to teach this stuff because they said no one's ever talked to us like you had. And so yeah, that's my background. If I had any qualifications, I would probably have to follow someone else's rules, wouldn't I? And that would never have suited me because I've had some training. I don't talk about it, but I have had some training. I've never used any of it. I had my own style. Okay. Baby's brilliant at everything, but has speech delay. Yeah, some kids don't talk till they're 3. If you're really concerned, go to a doctor, have them assessed if you're really concerned about it. But I knew someone years and years ago who didn't talk or walk till she was 3 years old. Then she got up and ran and talked in full sentences. She just was in no rush. She had an older brother and a younger brother. And the younger brother, she'd just point and grunt and he'd run and get everything for her. He was super active. And she just was very laid back, even as an adult, just very laid back, doesn't worry about things. So yeah, not saying that, if you're concerned, then go to a doctor. I can't assess that. But it's not unheard of. My 2.5-year-old screams and has a fit while trying to dress her into outside clothes. We give her options, but she refuses. Okay, well, I already actually talked about this, and I said you can give them 2 options, and you do it like this. You can wear this outfit or that outfit. Which one do you want? And then if they don't decide and they have a fit, just physically get them in it. It's like wrestling a crocodile. You got to win. If you don't win these battles, they're in charge. And if they're kind of doing that now, it means that they already think they're in charge. So it's better now than later. Start getting in charge. They learn very quickly who's in charge. Because I only say something once. I don't repeat myself. So I say, which outfit are you going to wear? You can wear this one or that one. And I look at them. If they don't decide, I say, okay, it's going to be this one. And then I get them in that. If they say, I want that one, no way. They didn't pick right away. So I chose, and then I put them in it. You just got to do it. There's no anger, calm as anything. Just make it happen. Okay. What's your take on Montessori learning? I don't have any opinion on that. That's like asking me about religion or co-sleeping or breastfeeding till they're 8 years old. I do have opinions on accelerated learning though. But yeah, that's a personal choice. So I have no opinion. The only thing and I really do have no opinion. It wouldn't have been for me and my kids. It wouldn't have suited my style. But I don't have any opinion on it like for other people at all. I don't know if it's great. The only thing I've seen consistently with kids who were Montessori's or Steiner school, the alternative schools, was that by the time they're mainstreamed into high school, if they haven't already socialized with a lot of non-Montessori kids, they tend to struggle socially because they are different. You make sure you have them socialize with other kids who are not Montessori. It's a very tight-knit community, and it's a wonderful community from what I've heard. But that's the only thing I've consistently seen an issue with is when they are mainstreamed in high school, they can often struggle because most people out there in the world are not Montessori based. So it is an exception. What are the most common teenage problems you have helped parents solve? Good question. It's just disrespect between the attitude. It's always attitude. I'm going to read out my 3 top. They're my favorite age, by the way. That's my specialty is teenagers. I love it. Because once you know how to deal with teenagers, they are the best. They're just the best. Anyway, I get all emotional. I love teenagers because they're turning into adults. You know how fascinating. If you don't have any problems and you got mutual respect going and all that, you can just sit back and enjoy it. It's just fun to watch them turn it. They're so smart and they have so many good ideas. And they really, if you're not open-minded and you're not learning from your own teenagers, you are missing out big time. Okay, so here's my 3 top tips for parenting teenagers. Listen to understand and show empathy. You don't listen to gather information to lecture with. If they want your advice, they're going to ask for it. By the way, they already know it, okay? So I call it silent listening. If you get good at it, they're going to tell you everything right through the teen years, just like my kids did. They didn't know how not to talk to me, but I was a safe place to land. Okay, the second one is negotiate pretty much everything. Hey, I want your dirty clothes in the hamper from now on. What do you want from me? Negotiate, have fun with it. And then the last one is don't sweat the small stuff. Save your energy for the big stuff. If you have big stuff, you're going to need it. Okay, so don't sweat the small stuff. Let it go. They're going to make mistakes just like you did. If they do something stupid and it's not a huge deal, just say that was stupid. Wait to hear what I did when I was your age. Be relatable. You know, it's okay to make mistakes. A lot of parents get a shirt in a knot over the littlest things, and it's not the way to go. Okay. What's the big difference do you see between boys and girls between 12 and 18 months? I don't. I honestly don't. I don't really see differences in a huge way until they're probably 9 to 12 when they're tweens and the hormones start kicking in. Girls start getting more emotional. Boys start, beating their chest a little bit more. And then the teen years, of course, that all takes off. But yeah, I really don't see nothing to talk about anyway. I have some opinions on it, but I don't like to just share my own personal opinions because they're not based on all my experience with kids. They're just my observations. I don't tend to share that. Now, I must know your opinion on accelerated learning. Oh yeah, okay, I don't like it. I'll tell you why. They got enough of learning to do down the road. Plus, often what I find is children who were accelerated, by the time they hit preschool or school, they already know the alphabet and they're bored. So why would you do that to your kids? You can't make them smarter. Yeah. So I don't see the point. Just let them go play in the mud. Let them jump in puddles. Let them be a kid for as long as possible. They're going to get enough learning down the road. So I just don't see any point in it. It's usually for bragging rights for the parents, and it's just boring anyway. Look what he can do. Oh God, here we go. It's just, I've never seen it actually do anything but cause problems with when they do start school. Well, he's bored. My child's so smart. He already knows the whole alphabet and he can add and all that. And the teachers are always like, oh God, here we go. So can you please give him some extra stuff to do? So in other words, your child's more special than all the other kids. And, yeah, teachers aren't big on that. Generally. I'm not talking for all teachers, but a lot of my clients are teachers. And that does come up. How do you handle a toddler constantly interrupting when I'm talking to my husband or someone else? Well, I don't know the age. If they're 3 and over, you can put down on the behavior board, no interrupting. When they're younger, it's just tough to teach them that. You can just say no. But you can't really teach a toddler not to. It's like teaching a toddler to share. Good luck with that. What time is it? I'm going to be going in about 1 more minute. I'm going to be moving over to TikTok. I do 30 minutes on each. And don't forget, I've got the sale, the Black Friday sale right now, just on the boot camp course. And that's the 3 to 12-year-olds. It's all in the link above. All the information is in the link above. No one's told me what a wave means. What does a wave mean on here? Should I look that up? Oh, forget it. I probably will forget. I'll tell you what, I have a couple of things that really drive me nuts with kids when they're with their parents. I can handle them, but if they're with their parents, one is whining, and the other one is interrupting. Oftentimes I've been talking to friends and their kid is constantly, older kids too, constantly, and the mother usually goes like, yes, sweetie, I think she thinks she looks like a good mom, but actually she's teaching her kids to be rude. And it's like you can just see that it does annoy her, but in front of other people, yes, sweetheart, what would you like? And I'm like, I was just telling you a story and your kid just came along and interrupted. But yeah, don't do that because it's not a very likable quality. When they're toddlers, they can't learn that anyway. But as they get older, don't allow your children to interrupt. No one's impressed by you interrupting an adult conversation to go, yes, sweetheart, isn't he cute? It's not appropriate. As long as you're meeting your children's needs and managing their wants, they don't need to interrupt you. If you're not meeting their needs and they never get any attention, then they should be interrupting you. Anyway, certainly wasn't my kids. They got lots of attention. So I'm going to end here and I'm going to move over to TikTok, but the YouTube is going through the whole hour. So thanks so much for joining me. Check in the link above if you're leaving me now. It's got my behavior board, which is completely free, my mini toddler courses, my big boot camp course. It's got the Black Friday sale on the boot camp course right now, and then coaching one-on-one with me. That's all done on Zoom. Anyway, thanks so much for joining me, and join me over on TikTok if you'd like. Sorry, YouTube. I can never get that fast enough. Okay, live. There we go. Okay. Oh, you're still with me? I got 2 people in here. YouTube is, I got a big following on TikTok and Instagram. I'm just working on YouTube. So. Okay, hello. Welcome. Hi, Jocelyn. You've been here before, haven't you? Hi, I am. My favorite name is Dot. It's just one little dot. They must have been, whoever has that must have got on TikTok really early to get that one. It's just Dot. That's their name. That's funny. Okay, so if you just joined me from Instagram, okay, so I was just on Instagram and I do that for 30 minutes and now I'm on here for 30 minutes. And I forgot to mention over there, I just don't have time to answer all the messages anymore, but I will once in a while try and look at comments, only of the recent videos I'm doing. It's just a matter of time. I can't spend all my days doing that, which I would have to do. So, because I know the other day I sat down trying to answer all my DMs on Instagram and TikTok, and there was like 300 and something. I just can't do that anymore. So, yeah. It's unfortunate because I feel bad, but I just can't. I can't serve my clients and all that if I'm just spending all day answering DMs. So sorry about that. But every so often I'll go in and read the comments. You know why? The comments are better for me to answer than the DMs because the comments serve other people too. Whereas the DMs are just like one-on-one free coaching sort of thing. Whereas this is like if I'm answering comments on a video, it's serving the video and other people too. So yeah, that's why I'm probably going to do that. What happened there? Oh, I just got my Fitbit thing. Told me I reached my quota. I don't know how I did that. I'm just sitting here. How did I reach my steps? I do 15,000 minimum a day. I'm just sitting here. I was out obviously earlier. Okay, so let's get going with your parenting questions. If you go on the link above, by the way, I've got my Black Friday sale on right now on the boot camp course. The link above, everything's in there. You've got my mini toddler courses, my free behavior board, the boot camp course, which is 25% off right now, and then also the coaching. It's all in the link above in my bio. So you can check that out if you want. If you just came over from Instagram, thanks for moving over. I appreciate that. And I'm also filming on YouTube at the same time. All my lives are saved on YouTube because when I do them on Instagram and TikTok, poof, they're gone afterwards. So anyway. Okay, so let's get going with your parenting questions. Oh, sorry. I don't know what, I just zoned out for a second there. Any ideas on what to do if Dad and I have different parenting styles? Well, most parents do. It's very unusual if you have the same style. Here's what we did. My parents did the same thing. My mom was the leader. I was the leader. Dad was the pleaser. My husband was the pleaser. That's okay. So long as the pleaser defers to the leader. Like my dad, if I was trying to push my dad around and get something out of him, he would say, sure, sweetie, you can have that, but let's check with your mom first. And I go, never mind. So you just have to be on the same page, but the pleaser should defer to the leader. Okay. So like my ex-husband would say, if he was out alone with them, if I was around, they would never try and push him around. But if he took them out alone, and then if they ever tried to push him around, which they only did when they were little, then they just stopped doing it. But then he would say, do you want me to tell mom? That was all it took. So yeah, that's quite all right. But you have to be on the same page. Okay. You don't have to be the same, but you have to be on the same page. Pick a leader and defer to the leader. Doesn't make you look bad. It makes you look like it's still the united front. Okay. Yeah, it's very rare that I get clients who have the same style. It's very rare. Has it ever happened even? I don't know. I'd have to think about that. Advice for daily siblings fighting, age 4 and 3. Okay. Well, how are they hitting? If they're hitting, you put down the behavior board, no hitting. Otherwise, my general live answer is this, because there's a million different ways of dealing with sibling rivalry. But this is my general answer, is you start separating them just for a few minutes at a time. So you take the older one out first. So if they're fighting, say you come with me for 10 minutes. Put a timer on, you're just doing the dishes, chatting to them. You don't discuss the fighting. We don't do the therapy sessions. They're absolutely pointless, a total waste of time. And I think they're actually kind of mean. They're just instilling shame in the child. So yeah, they're fighting. Okay, you come with me. Okay, so what'd you do in school? Blah, blah, blah. And then the timer goes off. Okay, go back and have fun. Don't say don't fight again, because it's just, you're always driving home that they're rotten. You don't want to keep reminding them that they were rotten, right? So you just say, okay, have fun. Watch them like a hawk. As soon as they start at each other again, take the other one out. Go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Also, when you want your children to learn how to get along, you don't do one-on-one time with each child. You do it in a group. You always have them playing together. And when you're playing with your kids, don't do anything competitive. Do silly games, do like theater, do sing or something, or dance, do something that's bonding. Also, my kids are 5 years apart, a boy and a girl, so they didn't have much in common. But what they did have in common was making fun of me. We did a lot of really crazy stuff. I was a nutcase, so we did a lot of crazy stuff. They bonded over laughing at me. So I loved it. It was great. So yeah. So you're not just teaching them how not to be, you're also teaching them how to be together. So they tend to form a bond if you're having fun together. Don't do anything competitive. A lot of parents make that mistake. Oh, no hitting, just annoying each other on purpose. I don't know exactly what they're doing. And is it that bad? Are they just whining and complaining? Just tune it out. If you want my help with that, I'd have to assess it and why it drives you so nuts. So yeah, you might want to hire me for that one. Oh, if they're teen girls. Teen girls, you'd have to hire me for that, because I'd have to assess what kind of parent you are. Your parenting has a lot to do with teenagers not getting along. Huge amount. It's everything. So yeah, my son is going to be tested for autism. Any advice? No advice. I'm not a specialist in autism. I have no medical training, so no. And I only discuss autism in coaching. I teach parent-child relationships, so it really doesn't matter what's going on with the child. I can still teach the parent-child relationships. I've worked with kids with handicaps, all sorts of different challenges. But yeah, I don't. Autism is only for coaching, one-on-one, if you want my help. Okay. Well, my son only acts out when people are around and he is not with me. So if he's with you, he doesn't act out. He got kicked out of daycare. Okay. I don't know how old he is. Is he 1.5 or 4? It makes a difference. I don't understand what you mean. They're not the same parents. It sounds complicated. You'd have to hire me. I'd have to assess the situation, get some context, and then know where to go. Yeah, I can't give you TikTok advice on that. Is it me or the toddler personality? Is what you or the toddler personality? 2.5-year-old so wild, blame because I'm a reactive parent. No, they're toddlers. They're nuts. Okay, so I'm going to read you my top 5 tips for parenting toddlers. It's the last one that's going to interest you. Number 1 is child-proof your home so you never have to say no. Number 2 is set up a toy rotation system so they're never bored. Number 3 is when you want to bond with your toddler, you enter their world. You don't take them to the nail salon to bond with them. You go to the park and roll down the hill with them. Number 4 is when you're disciplining a toddler, it's about actions. It's not about words. All these mini therapy sessions that are so trendy right now, discussing all their big feelings, that's all garbage. It just was invented to make the mom feel good. They're about consistent corrective actions. They're all actions, not words, okay? The last one is stop trying to figure them out. Toddlers are just crazy, okay? It's just the way it is. They're not figure-outable. They haven't formed sanity yet, so they're just developing. They're brand new. Yeah, 12-year-old to open up about, to open up about his emotions about his parents' divorce. Yeah, good luck with that one. If you ask direct questions about that, it's not going to help. How do you feel about our divorce? It's not going to help. Just talk to him just talk to him about what he enjoys. I'll tell you, okay, this kind of goes into more coaching, but I don't know if this would be you or not. They talk when it's happens accidentally, okay? So I was very good at listening with my kids, and I asked them a lot of questions, but just like fun stuff. The more you get them to talk about the PlayStation game, you sit down, play PlayStation with them, next thing you know, they start talking about other stuff. Mostly with boys, it's about accidental. It just happens accidentally. So yeah, that's what, if you want to work with me, I could teach you how to do that. But yeah, you just always try to engage them in fun stuff. It's not threatening. It's not confrontational. Next thing you know, they're talking about stuff. The car is, I used to call that my conversation pit. So the cars, they're trapped in the car. So just start talking about fun stuff and other stuff comes out. Yeah, when you get good at it, there's some leading questions that you can throw in there, but yeah, I don't know your relationship. So I wouldn't give you that advice right now. Like, I don't know what kind of relationship you have with him. Also, just some parenting through divorce thing. I went through that. Never ever, like, we never argued or anything. That's probably never did anything else either. But anyway, so yeah, we're very lucky that way. We just sort of made it all about the kids. So when we were divorcing, when we split up, we always made sure that we put the kids first. I mean, there's some hiccups along the way, but overall, we still turned up everywhere together to support the kids. And people didn't even know we were separated because we'd sit there chatting away and just because we're always talking about the kids, right? So yeah, make it about the kids. It's 20 years ago that we split up. I still see him for, stuff with the kids all the time. But I don't actually see him. I can't even fathom being with him. Like, I don't see him as my ex. I see him as the father of my children. So develop that mindset. That is the father or the mother of your child or your children. That's the best way to compartmentalize it. If you're going through the emotions, I don't have any of that. But I mean, yeah, so I've been there. The kids don't care if you're together. They don't give a hoot. All they care about is that you get along and you put them first. That's all they care about. How to get a 3-year-old toddler to share? Well, to me, a 3-year-old, 3 and 4 is a preschooler. Toddler is under the age of 3, just in my vernacular, the way I do it. But yeah, just to share. Well, I don't know. Is it a sibling or is it just when other kids are around? Okay, I'll just tell you quickly what I would do. Let's say this is just an example, okay? Let's say you got 2 3-year-olds, like him and a friend or something, and you go to the park and there's one swing. This is what you do. You say, we'll flip a coin, or they'll guess which hand you got a rock in or something, and say whoever wins gets to go first on the swing. But the first turn only gets 1 minute. And you use a timer. Always use timers for all this. It makes you look like a leader, like you know what you're doing. And say, but then every turn after that gets 2 minutes. They'll get so sick of you timing it, they'll just end up, getting preoccupied anyway. So get systems in place, make it fair. A lot of children don't share because it isn't fair. When you're a really good leader, you know about justice and fairness. I'll tell you a funny story about me. It is kind of pertinent here. When I first started what would it have been called? I was 3 years old and I went to preschool or something. Anyway, I don't know what they would have called it. Anyway, so I went there and I remember the very first day at preschool, the teacher said to my mom, and they were right in front of me. She talked about me right in front, to my mom, right in front of me. She goes, can you please tell Lisa that I'm the boss here? She's not. I was very proud. Like, I hated looking stupid. I was born old. My daughter's the same. We're very proud. And I can remember I was humiliated that she was telling this to my mother. You know what I did? The kids were all going for this slide and they were pushing each other. No, there was no justice in it. So I said, you were next. And I had them all lined up to take. I never even got a turn on the slide, but I like justice. So even then I was mothering, like, I like systems. And they weren't listening to the teacher because I had them all lined up so that everybody got a turn. Whereas before, the same 2 kids were getting turns and they were pushing everyone else out of the way. Drove me insane. So yeah, set up systems, make it fair, and they tend to go along with it. Also, it teaches them how to share, how to set up systems. I have 3 different sharing stories. If you look on here on Bratbusters sharing, I have 3 different sharing stories. I told them all boom, boom, boom in a row a few months ago. But the swing was one of the sharing stories. There's 3 different ways of teaching sharing. That was just one of them. So yeah, make it fair, make it reasonable, and you're teaching them the skill on how to manage it. How embarrassed was I? I can still remember that. I never had a tantrum or anything. I was too proud to tantrum. I mean, I just hated looking silly. And I can remember how unfair it was that these kids were pushing and getting. So I managed it. Oh, God, it's funny. Oh, private message me. I don't tend to answer private messages. I don't have time for that anymore. What I'll be doing is, because I went the other day, I tried to sit down and answer my DMs, and there was like more than 300. I couldn't do it. So what I'm going to do is every so often I'm going to go in the most recent videos and I'll be reading and answering some of the comments, because that way I'm serving everybody. If I'm just answering one-on-one questions, it's just like a private free coaching session for you, and it's not serving anybody else. I just don't have time to do that. So yeah, I figure in the comments, that's from now on. I'm just getting busier these days, so I just have to limit what I do. Um, Good. It was a smooth divorce. His dad bought 2 streets over and still comes for dinner. We did that. Yeah. Perfect. Born old, I love that. And my daughter was too, very much. I hated being a kid. I couldn't wait to grow up because I was always mothering everything. I just want, yeah. Although I have a really silly sense of humor, like really goofy. So it's like a, doesn't seem to fit oxymoron there. Anyway. Is it right to ignore all whining? Fits, etc. 23-month-old son. Okay, 23 months old, so that's just 2. Uh, yeah, but you got to sort of show them what to do. You say, you don't talk like that. You say, please. So you correct them, but don't do it a lot. Don't do it every single time they whine. They'll outgrow it because they'll make sure they don't get what they want. If you've got something that they want and they start whining, you say, you don't talk like that. You say, please. And if they keep whining, put it away. You got to be willing to go through the storm to get to the rainbow. Everyone wants the rainbow. How do I avoid a scene? Why on earth would you avoid a scene? In other words, how do I give in to all their demands so that I don't have to have a scene going on? Oh boy, I would never do that. If a kid, I remember once I was working with this kid and he said to me, if you don't give me what I want, I'm going to have a fit. Oh, I love that. And I have a really hard time not smiling when a kid challenges me like that because I know what I'm doing. And I said to him, bring it on. I don't even remember if he had a tantrum or whatever, but yeah, I remember his face was like this. I was like, bring it on. He knew I was looking forward to it. So yeah, never be afraid of a fit scene or a tantrum because that is the lesson. The lesson is on the other end of that. So never try to avoid a scene. If they're going to have one because they didn't get their own way, allow them to do that. That's very, very important. If you're trying to avoid scenes all the time, the only way to do that is to give them everything they want, is to fill all their demands. You meet their needs and you manage their wants. The discipline is managing the wants. Okay, good point. People whose children are grown always understand the scene if in public. Oh yeah, if I see a mother struggling in a grocery store with little kids, I always go up to her and say, been there. And she goes, oh, thank you. Thank you. Let's laugh it off. Yeah. Who cares what other people think anyway? Because they obviously don't understand. So who cares? I should tell you that story. My son was 3 and it was the second to last tantrum. We were in a very loud, busy mall, so I could do it there. I wasn't disturbing people. We weren't even doing anything. We were just walking to the parking lot and he decided to have a tantrum. Like, this is crazy, right? So anyway, I pulled him over to the side and I got out my nail file and I'm filing my nails. All these young moms kept coming up to me. Oh, you should give him a hug. Talk about his feelings. I'm like, oh, God. So I keep going. But these grandmothers and moms with older kids kept coming up to me saying, you know what you're doing. I said, yeah, I know what I'm doing. It only lasted like 2 minutes. And then I said, y'all done? Okay, let's go. And we walked off. You ignore the crazy and reward the calm. Attention is reward. So it's like he was invisible, but you got to look like you're waiting. You don't go on your phone. You don't just have a conversation with someone. You look like you're waiting for a bus. That's how you ignore a tantrum. You don't leave and you don't look on your phone. That's dismissive and rude. You look like you're waiting for a bus. You're showing that calm. No, you know what? I'm just waiting. As soon as they're done, oh, y'all done? Okay, let's go. No big deal. Don't discuss a tantrum before, during, or after. There is no point. Attention usually reward. I love it. Yeah, attention is tantrum food. You're feeding it. They're doing it to get attention. Have you ever seen a toddler have a tantrum all by themselves? Just don't do it. It's to get attention. Yeah, he recently started getting really upset when he doesn't get his way. That's okay. That's okay. Don't worry about that. Just worry about yourself. You lead, they will follow. But they have to catch up. They don't start right away. It's not like on day one. It would take me 2 or 3 days to really get, no, it's quicker than that. But let's say I moved in and I took over. Wouldn't take me long before they learn who's in charge. And I lead with fun. I'm very fun, very goofy with kids, and they love that. But I ain't fun or goofy if they're acting out. My kids used to say, if my mom ever whispers, run. That's when I was disciplining. So, and I never had to do it with my own kids, like past the age of 3.5, maybe 3.5. They were self-disciplining. But because they made good choices, they knew that mom knew how to take care of business. They knew if they made a bad choice, mom would take care of it. I'd say, well, that was a bad choice. What are we going to do about it? Oh, okay, no TV tonight. That's too much. Just brush my hair. So I love having my hair brushed, and they hated doing it. So. Oh, by the way, my boot camp course is on sale right now. It's the Black Friday course. It's 25% off. The other courses aren't. They're already low priced anyway. But the bigger boot camp one, that's 25% off right now. Goes till Monday. And that's the one 3 to 12 years old. It teaches you how to get respect in 5 weeks. What else am I going to say? Oh, yeah. But the behavior board's completely free. Check that out because that teaches you my whole style. It's about being accountable. Leaders are accountable. Leaders are not dictators. Leaders are not authorities. Leaders are leaders. You lead, they will follow. You're setting an example. That's why you have to be on that behavior board. I got this one client, I don't know when, a few years ago. And anyway, as soon as they found out they had to be on a behavior, I don't know why they hadn't checked out the behavior board first. This was before I was on TikTok and I wasn't doing I was more on TV in that back in a while ago, more doing radio and TV. So they didn't hear a lot of the stuff. So anyway, as soon as they found out they had to be on that behavior board, they asked for their money back. Well, no, they said, we can't be on the behavior board. And I said, I'm going to have to give you a refund then. They weren't willing to be accountable. They wanted to be the authorities. I don't like that because the teenagers will rebel against authorities. They don't rebel against leaders. My son was 15 and he says, I've got nothing to rebel against. You're too reasonable and easy to talk to. So yeah, they don't rebel against leaders. But the authority style parenting is not a bad way to parent because kids will come out as adults and they'll be pretty darn good and they'll appreciate what you did for them. If you're the pleaser parent style, which is so trendy right now, you're a dish rag, they wipe your feet all over you. They'll never respect you before, during, or after. And you're raising self-entitled snowflakes with mental health issues. I'm exaggerating, yes, but that's the exaggeration. It's one extreme or the other. But the leader, you kind of sail right through the teen years too. So, because you're friends with your kids too, and you're accountable, but you're still very much the leader. They want to please a leader. And when they're teenagers, they just don't want to disappoint you. Why are kids always whining when mom around, but not dad? If they're really little, it could just be because you're more the nurturer, the one who fills all their needs. Or if they're older, it could be that you're the pleaser, and they do tend to whine more with pleasers. Maybe the dad is more the authority or the leader, so they respect him more. They tend to whine with the one they respect less. Okay, I already talked about sibling rivalry on here, so I won't do it again. But everything I talk about, there's a video on it. I've done thousands of videos by now, so you can look that up. Okay, you're not exaggerating with this self-entitled snowflakes with mental health issues. Yeah, everyone's a victim these days, and that's because they weren't raised by a leader. Their parents were trying so hard to make everything easy for them that if they go out in the world and not everyone else is trying to cater to them, they fall apart. You didn't validate my feelings. I'm just a bus driver lady. They're just so weak. They're so weak. It's terrible. You're just doing them a horrible disservice. I'm generalizing, yes, but that's the pleaser parent style. That's so trendy. That came along 30 years ago, and it started with participation awards. I remember thinking, are you freaking kidding me? They just get an award for turning up? Oh, they don't have to earn anything. Nothing. Oops. I just about lost my screen. I've got so many screens going. 1, 2, 3, 4 screens. Okay. Mom was just flashing at me. Okay, wait a minute. Sorry. Okay. Okay, my wife got mad at me tonight for raising my voice a bit, being stern with our less than 2-year-old. Thoughts? Yeah, I don't raise my voice. It's in the same category as yelling. Raising your voice, I don't do that. I take action. Toddlers are under the age of 3. They're consistent corrective actions, not words. So yeah, raising your voice could potentially accelerate too into yelling. But yeah, like my kids used to say, if my mom ever whispers, run, because that's when I'm disciplining. I get very quiet. You get very quiet. It's like a business transaction. Like I would say, no, and then I would physically take a toy away or remove the fun from them. And they learn. I'm very quiet when I'm disciplining, very calm. It's like I go in slow motion. Didn't like that. This is not so much a 2-year-old, but as they get older, I never used a behavior board. I would just say, I didn't like that. I'll tell you what. Here's what we're going to do. Yeah. Okay. So you're going to do my chores tonight. You're going to fill up the dishwasher, you're going to wipe down the so that's how I did it. It was very, very calm. Very, like, it's just like I'm thinking through. There's no emotions, none. When you're disciplining, it's a business transaction. I work in healthcare, and the 20 to 30-year-olds with mental health is tragic. They're all victims now because their parents tried to make everything so easy for them. Whenever I get a client, or even on here, when they say, how do I make chores and homework fun for kids? Why would you want to do that? So in other words, you don't want them to ever learn to do anything they don't like. What about if they get a job? I don't like doing that. I'm not going to do it. They got to learn to do what they need to do before they can do what they want to do. Like, my kids knew there was no TV unless they'd done their chores. Like, why would they be able to watch TV? They might even say, Mom, can we watch TV? I said, sure, as soon as you've done your chores. Oh, okay, sorry. And they'd run around doing it. They learned you got to earn the fun. Kids today don't have to earn anything with the please your parent style. You want them to learn how to be hardworking, be responsible, do the hard things. There's lots of that in life. Very wise words. Yeah, I got some wisdom, not much, but I'm old. So I've been doing this for so long now. I first started volunteering in daycare centers when I was 11 years old. Who does that? Anyway, I was 11 years old, and I just always had to mother kids. And I started babysitting when I was 11. And I was always the in-demand babysitter. I was good at dealing with difficult kids right from a young age. I just always understood kids. I knew how to lead them. And my weapon is fun. I use humor and fun. That's how I got respect. And I wasn't the babysitter that watched TV. I was always playing with the kids. You got to build that bond. This is 99.9% of it is bonding with them, connecting with them. That's what a leader does. A leader doesn't just tell them what to do and then go watch TV, or, a leader bonds with them. You got to spend time with your kids. You want to have fun with them. Actually, I'm going to get going. Yeah, I've been on here for a while now, but I'm not going quite yet. I'm just going to tell you one thing that came up recently. It was last week, I think. This poor woman, I think she'll never look at me again, ever. She'll never come on here again. But she said something like, my 3-year-old's totally out of control, yelling at me, whatever. And I said, well, that's just because they don't respect you. You got to work on your leadership skills. Remember, we're not fixing kids, we're fixing and teaching parents. So she writes another comment and she goes, so what you're saying is it's my fault? And I was like, yeah. Leaders take full responsibility for their kids. She wanted to blame the kid. So I said, who do you love more, you or your kid? You'd rather blame your kid for their bad behavior than take responsibility. When I was working with kids, maybe an hour a week, and working with delinquent teenagers, if they ever acted out when I was in charge of them, I would always think, what am I missing here? What am I doing wrong? I took responsibility. That's what leaders do. Don't blame your kids for any of this. Think, what am I doing wrong here? You can only control yourself anyway. When you lead, they will follow. 100% of their behavior between the ages of 3 to 12, that's why the boot camp course is that age, 3 to 12 years old, that's the height of your leadership. The boot camp course is on sale right now, Black Friday. Anyway, that's leadership, and they will follow no matter what they're going to do. Let's say they're going to do something bad. They're like out at school and some kid says, let's do this. They're always going to think, what would mom and dad want? What would they think? See, they're always trying to please you. They always default back to you. They're never susceptible to peer pressure or anything. It's just the golden time, 3 to 12 years old. It doesn't work before that because they're just forming. And after that, they are more influenced by other people because they're exercising their independence more. And that's normal, but they still are not going to go far off track at all because they still don't want to disappoint you because you're a leader. And their behavior between the ages of 3 and 12 is 100% a direct result of your parenting. 100%. Their basic nature and personality, you don't want to change that. That's on them. But their behavior, how they treat people, is 100% a direct result of your parenting. So yeah, take full responsibility, which is, I always say you take the blame and the credit. My kids, oh God, every single year the principals would write handwritten notes to me. If every kid was as good as your kid, the school would be a total pleasure. I took credit for that. I go, thank you. Because take the blame and take the credit. So, which means a leader, why not? If you're going to take the blame, you can also take the credit. So, because I had the odd person would say to me who didn't know me, they would say, God, you're so lucky you got the easiest kids. But people who knew me, I put in the work. I earned that. I worked for that. You got to earn that, but you can. Anyone can do this. It's a skill anyone can learn. Anyway, check out all the courses above. The bootcamp course is on sale right now. Black Friday sale, 25% off. Also the free behavior board, the mini toddler courses, and my coaching. It's all in the link above. Thanks so much for joining me. I'll be back again. What's today? Thursday. Tuesday for sure, are my regularly scheduled Tuesday and Thursday nights. And then the rest, I don't know. I'm getting really busy these days. Direct messages, I don't have time. If you've got parenting questions, this is where I answer them, is on the lives. So if you have parenting questions, you turn up to the lives. And I'll try and look at comments on the videos because so I don't usually, but I'm going to try. The direct messages were getting out of control. I sat down one day. I think I spent 3 hours trying to answer, and I didn't even get through half of them. So I just can't do that anymore. And also, it's only serving one person. You know what was happening too? Is when I'd answer someone's parenting question in a direct message, then they'd ask me 20 more because it was like they wanted me to spend an hour or two just on all their questions. So, but you know, I can't do that anymore. I respect the fact that you want your questions answered, but the live is really the only place I'm doing them now. And I'll try and look at the comments, and because in the most recent videos, because those are serving everybody who wants to look at that video rather than just serving one-on-one in the direct messages. So yeah, I just can't do it all. Things are getting busier these days. So anyway, okay, check out the link above for anything on courses or coaching or whatever. And we'll talk to you again next Tuesday. Bye now.